everyone, and welcome back to our product demo stage. Again, my name is Kayla Schneider. I run our solutions engineering team here at Virtuous. My background is in database administration, so reporting, analytics, all those good things. And this session, I am joined with one of my lovely teammates, Emily Beck. Emily, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name's Emily Beck. I'm a solutions engineer here at Virtuous. Newer to the role, but I spent 5 years at Virtuous doing data migration and then 8 years at a nonprofit doing more video communications prior to that. So love this space and excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, thanks, Emily. So, if you weren't here before, I wanted to just start and preface like what Virtuous is about. And so, Virtuous, when we think about just how do we fundraise, it's really in this idea of what responsive fundraising is. Everything that we're talking about today, responsive. This is our responsive framework. We have four key tenets that we walk through when we are thinking about how do we get to fundraise? What does that look like? And so the first tenet is listening, which we just talked about in our last session. How do we listen to our donors, understand who they are, what makes them tick, where their affinity lies, and take that information, go to our next tenet, which is connect, which is what you're all here to learn about. How do we connect personally at scale with our donors? And that's really powered by automation. How to give your team back time, but at the same time, not sacrifice that personalization for our donors. The next tenet here is suggesting. How do we suggest that right next step? It might be a financial ask, but it might not be. Understanding that generosity is holistic and not everybody has money to give, but everybody has something they can give to our organization, how they can make an impact. And then the last tenet there is learning. How do we learn what works and what doesn't work? What works with each individual donor, but also at global scale for our organization, and tweaking things, making them more effective so that we can then continue this process moving back around in that circle there. And so, as I mentioned, right now we're going to talk about how do we connect with our donors and what that looks like inside of the Virtuous platform. So I'm going to pass it over to Emily and she's going to dig in. Please feel free to add your questions to the chat. I'll be monitoring them. I'll be answering them and pushing some up to Emily if it can be a good conversation starter. But really excited to just hop in here with Emily.
All right, so I'm going to start off with a little bit of a story to imagine here. So imagine, if you will, a beautiful mountain scenery, birds chirping, smell of fresh pine, a couple is watching a beautiful sunset. The moment is right, and it's time for that life-changing question about commitment. The knee is bent, the ring box opens, and that precious word comes out. Dear friend, I don't know your name, but here are a few ways I'm amazing, the different things I'm doing. I think we should partner together and you can fund all the things I'm interested in. I think we can all agree there would likely be a negative response, if not violence, chosen today after that kind of proposal. The reality is, we're asking donors for that same lifelong commitment. Even though our causes are compelling and worth it, a lack of personalization can become a roadblock. I think we can all agree that personal connections, using what we've learned from our donors and meeting them where they are passionate about, what they like about us, is going to inspire deeper commitment to our cause. With Virtuous, your team can be able to connect personally at scale, to be able to treat every donor like a major donor without adding any staff time, but actually saving time. By utilizing our built-in marketing engine, your team will be able to email, text, send out direct mail to your supporters at their timing while still keeping the personalization at the forefront of communication. Our marketing automation tool allows you to send out individual SMS texts, personalized emails, and letters and postcards sent on behalf of your team. We can even assign out tasks and segment your donors automatically. Let's commit to being responsive fundraisers and see what this can look like in Virtuous. We're going to start with a contact record, and that personalization starts with that contact type. So what we're looking at here is the contact record, and there are different contact types. We have household, organization, and foundation, but you can have custom types as well. So maybe you have hospitals, schools, churches, anything like that. We do have a natural state of householding, and that means that you have a different relationship with individuals as well as the household. So if you think of the household as an actual house, the addresses roll up to the household level. Giving, your receipt, the household. So all those roll up to the household. But you have a different relationship with the individuals that live at the house. So Emily perhaps is a mentor and is interested in events, whereas Samantha, maybe she's a program participant And these are examples of what you're seeing here. Program participant is an example of a custom field. So you can create custom fields across the database. So whether that's on gifts, projects, contacts, individuals, and we want to not only be able to store custom data for those processes, but also have it be actionable. So let's be able to query and report on this data. Let's trigger automations, maybe even use custom fields in our communications to help with that personalization. So really giving you that full control of your data to not just store it, but use it to engage and personalize. Another key area here wanted to highlight is our custom collections. So custom fields, as you saw on that individual record, but we also have custom collections. Think of it as a table or group of custom fields. So in this example, maybe it's an interest form for a group. So have you been in a group before? The education level, how did you hear about us? Areas of interest. So creating this custom table, and every time there's a new form entry, it's going to add a new row. And of course, it's all about being actionable. So being able to query on this, report on it, trigger automation. So perhaps every time somebody fills out a form, I want them to go down this communication path and receive emails about what it means to join a group. Custom collections are great for grateful patient tracking, even education. So there's a ton of different areas that you can utilize custom collections for. Again, a way of kind of targeting and personalizing that communication. Diving into web history, we have a small piece of code called responsive listener to track where people are visiting on your website. So this is triggered based on clicking on a link on an email, maybe filling out a form, or giving a gift. So once that happens, we now know who this visitor is in the future and we can track their visits. So here I might see a list here. So I saw they were on our best friends page and maybe they were looking at our events. Being able to personalize our engagement based on what our donors are telling us that they're interested in. So maybe the next time I'm talking to this donor, I can talk through our events, maybe invite them to an upcoming event that we have. So a really great way to kind of personalize there. Next, we're going to take a look at social insights. So let's say I'm meeting this donor at a coffee shop for the first time. Let's make stalking easy. It's part of our life and a part of our society now, and we're already doing it. So let's automate that process. Triggered by email address, let's get that personal information, websites, organizations they're associated with, even social profiles. And these are public profiles, so publicly accessible data. We have access to 300 plus social profiles here, and it will even add to the contact record if they don't exist already. And my favorite here, photos. So when I'm meeting this donor at a coffee shop for the first time, I can put my social anxiety to rest and I can know who I'm meeting. I don't have to greet every random person at the door or say I'm the one in the red hat. I can know who I'm meeting, do that research ahead of time to really personalize and engage with them based on what they've shown they're passionate about. So really being able to add that personalization once I'm kind of grouping these contacts together, identifying the groups they lay into, that's where we can tag these records to really personalize and target them, segment our list for our communication. So you can see tags here, major donor, maybe no direct mail, so maybe mailing preferences, even patient family or whatever custom tags you might have. Adding and removing these tags are easy. You can do this manually. You can do it in bulk. You can add and remove in bulk through a query. So being able to have that flexibility in bulk. And let's reduce the pain and suffering of our data admins. And if we already know the criteria for what makes a major donor, let's have Virtuous add and remove those tags in the background automatically for us through automation. So really giving you the power and control to have time spending on, you know, deeper strategy with your donors and deepening those relationships rather than just maintaining tags and maintaining the database. So this is where we're really seeing time saving when you're utilizing automation. Diving into automation, wanted to highlight here, we do have some best practice templates. So here we'll take a look over here. So we have robust automation to help personalize communication and engage based on where donors are at. This doesn't replace relationship building, but enhances relationships with personalization, communication that would otherwise not have happened and you wouldn't have time to cultivate. So treating every donor like a major donor. We have 9 best practice templates you get right out of the box, and you have internal and external actions that you can do through automation. Internal might be adding or removing a tag, adding or removing from an email list, assigning to a portfolio. So, adding tasks. So, being able to manage some of those internal aspects of the database. Externally, we can send out text messages, emails, or letters on demand. And those are letters or postcards that are printed, stamped, and mailed on your behalf without your team having to do anything. So, really giving that full control of that donor journey and database management. So here you can see there's a couple examples. Birthday celebration. If you think of how you would pull that today, basically most systems, you would have to pull a report of everybody that has a birthday next month. And then you would send them one email at the beginning of the month, basically saying, happy birthday sometime this month, which is not super personal. So let's send out an email on their birthday or a postcard. Or if they're a major donor, let's segment that out and have them get a phone call instead. So, really being able to personalize that communication. Another great example here are life to date milestones. Let's say we want to celebrate when somebody's given over $1,000 life to date. Being able to trigger an email to go out immediately that says, Dear donor, with your last, not dear donor, but dear Joe, with your last gift of $25, you've now given $1,015. Thank you so much for your gift and the impact that you're having. So being able to personalize to specifically what they gave and reaching out as soon as that milestone has been reached, rather than having to wait a few weeks for your team who's already overloaded with a ton of work to pull a report to identify that list. So that could take weeks where this is going to happen in the background for you. Let's dive into a specific new donor welcome series. If anything, I would start with this automation. Donors are 300 times more likely to give again if they're engaged in the first 30 days of that first gift given. So this is a huge way to engage that group. If you think of it um, like having a mug, a coffee mug without a bottom, and you're pouring coffee into it. So those new donors are pouring in and they're just falling right out. We don't want to lose those donors we've worked so hard to cultivate that relationship with. So this is a great way to get them engaged and start that process immediately. So once somebody gives that first time gift, these are based on queries. So identifying that group based on that first time gift given. We're going to add a tag of first time donor in that they're part of this new donor welcome series. And what we can do here is if I'm sending out other communications, maybe I want to exclude those that are already in this new donor welcome series so I don't inundate them with too much all at once. So, really being able to tag those records so I can include or exclude them in future communications. I can append wealth data. So, being able to tell if this donor has higher capacity. Do we need to assign them to portfolio managers so they can deepen that relationship? Being able to send out an email, assign a task to give them a phone call, then send out a postcard. So, thinking of that multi channel engagement. We can even add delays. So, wanting to pace out that communication. So you can see here we have a couple more emails. And then once that second gift is given, now we're going to remove that tag of first time donor, remove that tag that they're part of the new donor welcome series. So Virtuous is maintaining itself, adding and removing those tags so your team doesn't have to. Then maybe we're sending out a text message, say thank you, and a letter. So as you can see here, multi-channel, being able to really target and communicate and send them down that donor journey. Of course, we want to be able to use that learn tentative responsive fundraising as well. So you can track engagement, you can adjust the emails. Maybe that last email isn't getting a good open rate. So we want to take that off. So really being able to personalize how you're engaging with your donors. So this is a key area. I will say also there are some great workflows for more of that internal management. So our donor lifecycle workflow, being able to manage non-donors, first-time donors, sustaining donors, and major donors, adding and removing those tags to make it easy to update your database. Wanted to highlight email as well. So as we're personalizing communication, I think this is one super powerful piece of having your marketing platform be part of your CRM. So as we're getting started in our email, you can see we have templates available. We have our Virtuous templates, or of course, you're going to have your own brand look and feel, so you can create your own templates that you can use ongoing. Once we're ready to build our email, we have options for doing that visual drag and drop builder. So very similar to Constant Contact or MailChimp. You also have options for custom HTML code. So having that flexibility there based on your design needs. Next, of course, we can name our email. We can add our email list. So you have access to create up to 200 different email lists. And we'll show you how you can target to personalize and target that exact group you're looking for, maybe a subset of that list. Next, you can personalize that subject line. We found that adding personalization to the subject line helps increase open rate. So we've added merge tags to do just that. So being able to add that first name. Next, we can specify who this email is from. Also, having a better open rate with having it be from a person at the organization rather than just generically from the organization. We can also do A/B split testing, which you'll see as well in our Learn tenant. So being able to check click rate or open rate, test it over a certain duration, easily make our version A, copy, make or slight adjustment for version B. Once we hit send, it's going to send to that randomized subset. At the end of that 24 hours, whoever has the highest click rate, that's who's going to be sent through mailing list automatically for us. So really easy way to test what works best as we refine what works best for our audience. Once I'm ready to build my email, really easy, again, drag and drop. Here I can set my content here, so that look and feel, my structure, and then drag and drop my content. Because it's part of the CRM, now we have access to merge tags. So being able to select from different areas of the contact record. So maybe that's contact name, first name, even giving statistics now. So life to date giving. So thinking about being able to personalize our communication to have that deeper engagement with our donors so that they feel like we know them when we're communicating to them. Additionally, we can have custom fields as well on this list. Under our special links, this is where we can set our unsubscribes. We don't want to necessarily globally unsubscribe, but we have that option, but maybe just from this list, or even giving the option for subscription preferences. So allowing our donors to tell us what they want to receive there. Once I'm ready to target and send out my email, I can select my email list, but I also have the option to include or exclude based on query. So a great example of including only certain records by query. So let's say I have an email that I sent out last week and I want to follow up to those that opened the email but didn't click on the link. I can create a query for that. So I can query on that data and I can only include those contacts. Or if you remember our new donor welcome series, I don't want them to be inundated with too much all at once. So maybe I'll exclude them from this email send. So really being able to target and personalize who you're sending this to rather than just blanket everybody. Next, we're going to specify. So do I want to send this email right now? Or maybe I get a better response Friday at 9 a.m. Being able to schedule that out. Virtuous will update the list at the time of send, not the time of schedule. So if I'm in the new donor welcome series today, but not Friday, I'll still get this email. So making sure those emails are up to date and those lists are as relevant as possible. We also have email activity as well. So once I send out my email, I can get this visual display of how my donors have engaged with my email. So open rate, click rate. I can even query on this data again to target, maybe retarget those audiences. So I can query on it. I can query on what link they clicked on. So there's a lot of flexibility there as well. So really being able to target and identify those groups. So having those metrics can really help us influence and personalize there. As we're receiving this data, that's where we can have a powerful dashboard to really see how our personalization is impacting our donors. So here we have giving by campaign. So this is a personalized dashboard. Every user can define this when they log in to what's relevant for them. So you can have multiple dashboards is here. These are just high level metrics within the database. So here we have giving by campaign, yearly giving, giving by project or fund, so where that money is designated to go toward. I can even toggle to see a certain time frame as well. We also have a robust gift ask pipeline to basically create goals for the team or individual team members of major gift asks, and we can track that progress right on our dashboard. So being able to track that Here, I can also isolate maybe those contacts that I own and their recent gifts. I can even create a custom report. So refining and creating those widgets is really easy. You get these widgets right out of the box. And I can create custom reports as well. So maybe I have a grateful patient program and I want to see all patient giving. So this is a custom report I've created in the background to really track that data. So you can really see and report on how's what we're doing, how we're connecting with our donors, having an impact in the database. Because we're built on that responsive fundraising methodology, we do have a responsive dashboard. So these are a couple examples of different dashboards that you can custom create within the system. But right out of the box, we give you a responsive dashboard. And this is just giving you access to those high level metrics we feel are critical for responsive fundraisers. So, thinking about retention, when somebody gives that first gift, are they giving a second, a third, or a fourth? Even average gift size. So, what are we doing in January and February that's different from these months? What can we do this month to see that same increase of average gift size? Even being able to see that non-financial actions. So are they volunteering? Filling out those lead forms, being able to holistically see how our donors are engaging with us. Again, the purpose is to meet our donors where they are at, how they're engaging with us. Going back to the dashboard, we do have task management as well. So I can see the tasks that I have for that personal outreach. So maybe a new patient, or if there's a grant proposal coming due, being able to track those tasks. I can add a task right here on my dashboard. I can also create automated tasks. So we have that robust automation that you saw earlier, but maybe I just want a simple task that automatically notifies me when there's a first time gift. I can do that right on my dashboard. I can select who I want that assigned to, or even isolate that to just contacts I follow, which I'll show you in a moment as well. So being able to track, I can set that automated task for a single gift threshold. So there's a lot of options here for managing those tasks. And we do even have like a task board where you can see a high level view of your tasks and manage those statuses. Over here, we have our following. So there are some contacts in the database that I want to personalize everything, all of my communication with. Maybe those are major donors or board members, and I want to make sure I am keeping track of their activity. I can follow records in the database, and here's where I'm going to see their activity bubble up. So being able to see when a gift is given, or if they opened a link in an email, or maybe they visited our website. So, really giving us that flexibility and that visibility into their actions. And then down below, we have our virtuous relationship building recommendations. So, this is an algorithm running in the background. Um, this is based on financial and social score and their activity. Financial score is looking at the recency, frequency, and amount of giving and ranking your contacts amongst themselves. Social score is looking at social insights. So if you remember scrubbing the web for public data based on email address, marrying that with the relationships in the database as well as the donor density within their area. So again, ranking the contacts against one another to get that social score. So now Virtuous is identifying where are those financial, social, lapsed, and pre-lapsed asks. So being able to track that engagement. So um, Dale and Edna here, they maybe have given a gift, $70 one month, $90 another month. So Virtuous is looking at that activity and suggesting an $81 extended recurring gift. This can also be factored in with wealth data. So if they have higher capacity, this ask will reflect that as well. So Virtuous is suggesting that financial. But here we have Alicia and Jay. They've never given a gift, but they have a huge social score. So maybe they have a huge following. Being able to not give a financial ask, but a social ask instead. So why don't we ask them to reshare posts, or maybe we were mentioned in an article, so sharing with their following, or maybe hosting an event. So thinking holistically with how we engage and giving us focus right on our dashboard of who's ready for that engagement. Lapsed is looking at anybody who hasn't given a gift in 13 months or more, or they missed a pledge or recurring gift payment. We don't want to lose those donors that we've worked so hard to get. So, really being able to bubble that up on our dashboard. You can even trigger automations for re engagement based on this tag as well. And then last, prelapse here. So anybody who hasn't given a gift in 6 to 12 months. So being able to proactively re-engage them. Again, you can use this to trigger an automation to have that work being done in the background for you, saving your team time. Last section here, thank you calls to make. So being able to bubble up any gifts over $100 or more as a thank you call list. So this is a shared list. It can be filtered by portfolio. So if you want to only see contacts that you own, you can do that here. Once I've given that call, I can add a note to the record right here or create a task to do this later, and it's going to take it off the list for everybody. So it's one shared list. We don't have to worry about double calling to say thank you, kind of creating again that unified focus so that we can have that focus to personally engage with those donors. So we're seeing how automation can help with some of those background tasks or uh, personalizing communications that maybe we couldn't get to otherwise. And then also having right on our dashboard a way to personalize engagement and really hone it in what we should do today. And I'm going to pause here. Kayla, are there any questions so far?
No questions in the chat so far. So please feel free to add them in there. I would like to pause. Like, I personally love this idea of how automation allows us to connect at scale. When I think about this, just my background at the university, the idea of being able to connect with, 40,000 people individually through email and automation and those types of things. The idea of being able to have that personalization of saying, like, name, but also giving metrics and like the custom fields and being able to say, hey, you're in the class of blah, blah, blah. Like, that took so much time. That took so much time from our organization. And so the ability to have a system that helps you engage well and then gives your team back time, mind blowing, which is really why I came over to Virtuous specifically, is this idea of how can how can we engage at scale? Um, I mean, it's really specifically to higher ed. Our, alumni percentage of engagement, like, it's really good to have like 11%, 8%. And so thinking about like how a system could allow your engagement to even increase by like 4, 5, 6%, and we're seeing much larger numbers here at Virtuous is outstanding, right? So just think about that, like, idea of dreaming, of what could we do if we had the time, if we had the technology to like put these place into action. I think is so, so valuable.
Absolutely. And I think the time saving as well. On average, we're seeing 20% of staff time saved when using automation. So if you think of that within an entire week, that's a whole day that you get back to like focus more on donor strategy and that personal relationship building rather than trying to maintain and update tags in the database. So yeah, I think automation is such a powerful piece of Virtuous.
100%. Yeah. Well, I don't see any questions in the chat, so I just want to kind of give you a preview of what the next kind of sessions look like here on our product stage here. I am also going to drop in a link if y'all want a personalized demo to be able to see like what it would look like for your team. Feel free to click on that link. It'll take you to a little form that'll fill it out that you can schedule that. And so you could meet with myself or Emily or some other members of our team to talk about what it would look like for your team to use Virtuous and see what, your examples might need and get your specific questions answered. We would love to chat with you there. If you are interested in some other sessions that we're doing here today, so we've already went through our listen tenet and our connect tenet. So the next tenet we're going to talk about in our next session is suggest. So looking at giving pages, how do we suggest that right ask at the right time, and what are features in Virtuous that allow us to do some of that? Tomorrow, we're going to look at how do we learn about who our donors are, what's working, what's not, and how to continue to engage with that data there. I'm really excited about our other two sessions tomorrow. Emily here, and then another team member, Ashley, will be focusing on some really specific things around one, internal automation, what that looks like here in Virtuous, how we Virtuous can save your team time by doing processes and things like that. This is actually, it's my favorite session, so I'm really excited to watch it. And then also Emily is going to be talking about just how to get your data into the system, how to set it up appropriately. Why does it matter where we're putting data, how we store it, what we're storing? And so I think it's a really valuable session if you're thinking about one, getting started, two, maybe going through a CRM migration and what that looks like. And then three, also just thinking about if you're just wanting to be able to view your data and use it in different ways, knowing what to change, what should we keep, what can we ignore. Really, really valuable session there as well. And then the last day, we're going to look at what does it look like for a major gift officer to actually use a database. How do we get them to get in there and use it, and what are some features that we at Virtuous have worked really hard on to make it easy for teams to use, everybody to use. And then our volunteer platform. So we have a volunteer platform called VOMO, which makes it easy and frictionless for your volunteers to sign up for your opportunities, to get them more engaged, to connect with them so that they can help impact your organizations. So thank you for joining us. We're going to end a little bit early, hop into another session. There's a bunch of great things going on live. And please also feel free to come back to the stage here again in our next session or the following days. And we'd love to show you a little bit more about Virtuous. Thank you guys all again, and have a good rest of your day.